So we kicked off the afternoon with an introduction with Norman Brecht and Sir Roger Norrington, and then the musicians were dying to come and rehearse, so we have to cut that short. But we're going to continue with a selection of students here, as well as professionals. And I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves, say a little bit about what they do, and then we'll get going with the discussion. So Roger, I think you don't need an introduction, but if you want to say a few words.
I'm just a very old conductor. I've been doing it for far too long, and I expect people would rather I stopped soon. But I enjoy music just as much as I did 50 years ago. That's me.
Wonderful. Etienne.
I'm Etienne Abelin. I'm a violinist and conductor. I play in the Lucerne Festival Orchestra with Klaidi Sahatci and the Orchestra Mozart Bologna as a principal second violin. And I'm in the process now of helping come to life a project that is called Superar Suisse, which is in partnership with El Sistema in Venezuela, which brings music to socially disadvantaged children and adolescents in Switzerland.
Cool.
We'll talk a bit more about that later. Great.
I'm David Bruchez. I'm principal trombone in the Tonhalle. I teach at the ZhdK in the trombone. I conduct also a little bit. And now I'm here for this project, this kind of multimedia streaming, because I'm convinced that we can do a lot about getting where the young people are. Actually nowadays, that's been a lot of hours on Facebook or iPhones. We can speak a long time if it's good or not good, but I'm still I'm not that old. And I'm using also, this technology and also losing my time there, so that's why I'm here on this sofa.
Facebook Anonymous.
Facebook Anonymous.
My name is Pierre Tissionier. I am a violist in the Zürcher Kammerorchester for the 27th season now. And I'm having a great pleasure discovering Sir Roger's vision of Mozart and showing us this new world in a music that I have played for quite a while now, and it's a great pleasure now to discover this new world.
You can be principal next week.
I saw that coming.
Thank you.
So, my name is Adam Jeffrey. I'm from Australia. I'm a percussionist studying here at the ZhdK. I used to play in the Sydney Symphony, but I've been living in Europe for about 4 years now, getting involved in a bunch of different musical pursuits. But now I'm once again focused on the orchestral career, so it's a great pleasure to be here.
Cool.
I'm Samuel Price. I'm a student of David Bruchez at the Conservatory, master's student, and also been in Zurich about 4 years and doing the orchestra stuff here.
My name's Julie Link, and I'm a bassoonist studying at ZhdK. I moved to Zurich in September, and I'm about to finish my first year of my master's at school. Nice to meet you.
My name is Arta Arnitsane. I come from Latvia. I'm a pianist, and I'm afraid to say I'm neither here nor there because I finished my studies last week with the 5th master's degree at the ZKO, and I'm going to work on Korea, and I'm at the beginning of my journey in music.
No. My name's Dorothy Yeung, but everyone calls me Dot professionally. I'm from London, and I used to be a pianist. And then I went onto the dark side, onto music management in my mid-20s, working for IMG Artists as an artist manager for 7 years, working a lot with young artists and instrumentalists and some bigger projects. And I moved to Zurich 2 years ago, and I work for the Verbier Festival. I also work for IC247 and some other projects as well. Keeps me out of trouble.
And in the end, I am Klaidi Sahatci, first concertmaster of Tonhalle Zürich Orchestra, and I was also first concertmaster of ZKO Orchestra some years ago, and that is also, I feel, a bit my home, because I spend a lot of time here doing Mozart, Beethoven, and Haydn also. And very happy to be here, and I believe also in the, as David says, in education also, with media, with the newer technologies, because I think it's very, very helpful to use this technology for expanding a little bit our knowledge, and also because I think the classical music needs a little bit this pushing also from this side of the life, no? Because maybe sometimes we are in our cathedral and a bit very static, and maybe we should move a little bit more and giving this message of this divine music, no?
Yeah.
Because I see a little bit as a sometimes as a problem, because sometimes we see halls a bit empty, and we pose many questions about, no? And I think all the things are good for making possible that this music could be a little bit more extended and
more fun.
More fun, maybe. Yeah.
Would be one thing. Would be otherwise. Perhaps if we all played barefoot.
I know. Let's all kick our shoes off now to start. Okay.
Kick over the traces.
So this is an open discussion, and whoever wishes to start, maybe Etienne.
Maybe they have some questions for us. Is that one of them?
Actually, I just thought about what you said about promoting concerts and musicians being more active in that. And nowadays there are lots of discussions in the world regarding crisis, that programs of the concerts should be changed to make them more acceptable for all sorts of audiences. And I've been thinking about it a lot, because it seems like it's a little bit dangerous, because some of the non-classical music is coming in programs, and it's not necessarily more accessible. It's maybe just kind of more obvious and easy way to try and get more audience, but it's, in my opinion, a little bit of a betrayal to classical music. And I was wondering what you think about this kind of movement in the world.
Yeah, I'm not so pro this movement, because it means that you can make big compromises. And so if you make big compromises, that's what means that you should not playing Berg, or not playing maybe more difficult music for no? Can you understand this music? No? So I think the program will be every time more and more compressed. And you should follow the way as the radios now making now, which they just can say, okay, I can see Michael Jackson is 1,000 times in the radio, so we put Michael Jackson or this or this. So I think it's dangerous, this kind of approach, but we should find a new way to promote our concept, and maybe also I think it's very important to make to explain to people how to listen. I think that's the most important, because sometimes they don't know how to listen to music, how, or imagination, or to use things.
Yes, I was just thinking what Mr. Norrington said about fun in music, and sometimes I wonder if maybe musicians should rather change their way of interpretation, rather than trying and persuade people and explain them the music is fun. Instead of that, just play with fun and make them and take them with you.
A lot of music is just fun. You know, the entire classical period, for instance, Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven. The material of the music is material of the symphonies and so on is wit. It's actually the material. There aren't so many great tunes. You know, you think of Haydn. You know, da 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 da. That's the finale of his last symphony. It's little bits of rubbish, but he turns it into the most wonderful movement. So it doesn't have to be incredibly beautiful. It has to be witty. Classical music has to be constantly interesting, constantly witty. Changes of dynamic, changes of speed. And that can be a lot of fun. It should be a lot of fun. If I hear an audience laughing in the middle of a Haydn symphony, I'm really pleased. It's only happened about twice in my whole life. It's sort of some absurd moment, you know. Dum, 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 dum. Dum. You know, and you think, I heard go, that's great, that is really cool. And of course, in the days of Haydn and Beethoven, they used to clap after every movement. So that's really nice. I mean, I did a concert in Philharmonie in Berlin last week, and we were just doing one symphony with audience in, of course, in street clothes, and the orchestra was in street clothes. They all won prize, they could sit anywhere. And we did the first movement, they burst into applause, you know, after the first movement. And then I talked about the second movement, and then when they clapped the second movement, the whole thing was a lot of fun, you know. It was really a fun evening. And although the Eroica, this is what we were playing, was some of it quite serious about war and death and so on. Nevertheless, it's you know, for instance, the last movement is just it's a slalom ride on skis, you know. It's tremendous fun, and most Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven is fun music, you know. So that's terribly important. If it's played seriously and too slowly, it's really a bad scene. So most music, there's quite a lot of wit. There's wit in Bruckner. There's wit in Mahler. Unless you take it too slowly. You could make anything serious if you're German.
You know, I think what you're saying about this concert, people sitting all over the place and mixing. I think these kind of things we really need in this world, because I'm not afraid of betraying classical music. We can do all sorts of things with this music. We can mix it with this. It can get super cheap. Who cares? A year after, it'll be forgotten. I think we need to do a lot of things with this music and with the settings all over the place, because there's so many great stories to tell. There is a lot of potential significance and relevance in this music for our world now, and we just need to find the interfaces where this is happening. And I think one of the things that is most important to do is to get beyond the thought that we have to be faithful to a certain way of doing things, because that'll keep us back, and then bye, we disappear.
The tradition, yes. Tradition ist Schnapperei.
Yes.
Of course, pop music is very accessible because it mostly has words almost all the time. There's a text, and sometimes you can even hear the words, but you can see the text on the CD, and you know, it's about love and war and hate, and you know, it's easily accessible. And of course, that's why opera is rather successful at the moment, because people can see things happening. But most symphonies, or an awful lot of symphonies, have strong storyline, you know, virtually all of Mahler. But for instance, all the Mendelssohn symphonies have names, you know, Italian and Scottish, and Reformation, and Mendelssohn tells stories, Schumann tells stories. Beethoven begins to tell stories with the Eroica, in fact. So there's a lot of material which is very accessible and fantastically interesting for once you get it, once you think it's yours and not somebody else's, you know, with a black suit on, you know. I don't want people to get to know our classical music because it's good for them or because it's good for us. I want them to have it. I want them because it's so marvelous. We have such a fantastic time doing it, you know. I want to share it with people. That's what's. It's so great, this music. It's just as great as some of the of the pop and rock and all that stuff, which is terrific.
And about so you play, you're barefoot. Don't you think that's the frack?
I don't wear the frack.
Break I mean, that would be a big step.
Yeah.
Because I think, I mean, what I hear and what I'm also convinced that once the people are in the hall, they are enjoying it most of the time.
Yeah. Especially if they didn't wear a frack.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Get rid of the frack.
And I hope so.
Yeah.
You know, when the frack was first worn, it was worn by everybody in the audience. They were wearing the same clothes.
Yes.
This concert last week in Berlin, we were all wearing the same clothes. It was really, really nice. It was completely relaxed, but it was serious music making. They played like hell at Deutsche Symphonie, you know. Boom.
Do you think then perhaps it's more of a question of presentation, of how music is presented and how it's marketed, rather than a question of compromising or betraying the ideals of what we used to have or whatever. It's more of a question of being able to present it in a more contemporary way, so that audiences can respond to it.
Yeah, but if you contain it to the presentation and you want to keep the product pure, it's not going to work. I think.
But what exactly do you mean the product pure?
I think there's a lot of potential in. Personally, I'm very interested in all these recomposition attempts that Deutsche Grammophon has been pushing with their series Recomposed. I've seen composers deal with our repertoire in very creative ways. Others a little bit less interesting, but who cares?
I haven't heard any of that stuff. Surely, if a piece is good enough, it's going to be pretty, and you play it really well. Do you need to do it?
You don't need to, but I think you can, and then you might reach a whole bunch of other people. I'm a lot in contact with young people who are like, oh yeah, there was this flying Bach. It was Red Bull, it was hip hop, and it was Bach. And some of it was Bach with hip hop dance, and some of it was Bach with beats. Not exactly my taste, and hip hop dance. The young people we talked to, some of them were like, oh yeah, this is very nice, the Bach with the hip hop dance. Some of them were like, it's a little strange without the beats. When the beats come in, then we really appreciate it. And I have no problem with that. It's a way to a world. It's still complex.
Okay.
I have no problems with that. And the presentation, of course, is another thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think on each end we can innovate. Everywhere.
Time of day, length of concert. We do with the Age of Enlightenment in London, we do a thing called the night shift. We do a concert at 11 o'clock at night.
Fantastic example.
Very, very cheap in the same hall where we just do a main concert. It just lasts an hour and everyone sits around. And
beautiful example.
It's a very successful.
More of that. More of that.
We do the same. I mean, in the Tonhalle, we have Tonhalle late.
Good.
Since I think 8-9 years.
And has that been a very successful project? Yeah.
Very.
Good.
What kind of audiences do you have there? Young people that usually go to rock concerts or things like that, or more the conservative?
That's a mix. That's also because after the concert, that's electronic music, and so you have also the classical audience that's like to have a taste of electronic music.
Yes.
And you have the electronic audience who have to like to have a taste of classical music. So that's beautiful, and they also clap after every movement.
Do they? You guys, do you listen to pop rock?
Yes, I have a pretty wide variety of tastes.
My son, I've got a son of 19, and he's a classical musician. I mean, he's a singer and a oboe and violin. He never listens to classical music. So he's always listening, to the other stuff. But he's a classical musician, so I mean the two coexist completely. I was never like that, right? I started with Thomas Morley, and it went on from there.
But saying classical music or serious music, I mean, that's today's language. 200 years ago, was there such a thing as classical music and not classical music?
No.
In fact, I saw something on Facebook just this morning, which was being posted around.
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
Yeah, about this. Someone did a presentation at a primary school, And all the children were asked to write in what they most enjoyed about the day, and one of them was, I am just glad that I learned today that classical music can be as good as normal music.
That's cool.
It sums it up
Yeah.
that we have a problem of
Yeah.
terminology, a
Yeah.
huge problem of terminology. Classical music, I mean, if you ask people what they associate with it, depending on age group, there's a big problem. And we need to think about it.
I agree, because sometimes I saw that we are in category relax, classical music.
Relax.
Yeah, in the category
Easy
relax.
listening.
They're all, yeah, I mean, that's what they're always saying on Classic FM in London. This is music to relax to. Try Berlioz. You can't relax for a second.
Try Wagner. Yeah.
How are you guys dealing with the problem is the classical music is long for, I think, audiences that aren't used to going to classical music things. And now the pop songs are so short and so full of stimulus. I think that's the most difficult part, is when I bring friends that don't listen to classical music, they get very easy to get distracted.
Absolutely. I think
So
we
long.
need to address it.
Yeah.
So damn long, we should break the movements up.
Absolutely. And, well, yeah, I think we should experiment with it.
The
in a
3
way.
minute Mahler 9.
The
I
3
mean,
minute
people-
Mahler 9, yeah.
People want more than audio stimulus. That they also want to be able to see stuff and
But maybe
Yes,
we should go the
yes,
other
seeing.
way. Yeah, seeing.
Yes,
Seeing
seeing.
is a big one.
Seeing's cool.
I think that perhaps it could be a really fantastic idea to present some of the great works that do have narrative components with some kind of visual accompaniment, something like a Shostakovich symphony
Yeah.
with a huge, very tragic, backstory,
Yeah.
and to have those images depicted could be very powerful. I
We
think.
do that in
Very
Detroit.
effective. Yeah.
In Detroit, we have a series there with
Mm.
that whole evening with pictures everywhere, and you introduce the
Yeah.
pieces, pictures changing all the time.
More of that, absolutely.
It's terrific. I mean,
And there's such great visual artists and
Yeah.
VJs around
Yes.
who are doing parties, and they have incredible technology these days.
Mm.
And we need to work with these guys, because I think there's a lot in. And I mean, talking about stories, any tonal piece that modulates and comes back is a story. Dude, everything in that does that goes to some place and then comes back home, and the way it does it, I think this story can be told and I think visualized.
Mm.
And yes, there's going to be lots of stuff that's not going to be very interesting, but I think there just needs to be a lot of experimentation and a variety, so that then finally we'll see, ooh, this really works. Wow, this really works.
People always say they like it when you talk to the audience, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, there was a questionnaire on the festival hall about 15 years ago. And your most important thing in your experience of coming to the festival hall, will you please fill it in? And the top one was car parking.
Such a practical.
But the second one was, if the musicians talk to us, that's what's important.
Yeah.
And number 3 was Tchaikovsky or whatever it was.
No, and through all age groups, we would be surprised.
Please talk to us.
Each age group, the youngest more, but all age groups prefer concerts where musicians talk.
Yeah, it breaks down this barrier, this idea that they know everything and you don't know anything, and they know this whole years of experience, and you'll never understand it. It's starting maths, your first term.
It's very interesting because I had a different experience a few years ago in Sydney, where I invited some friends to come and see a concert that I was playing in, which was David Robertson was conducting, and he spoke very eloquently, as he always does. And the first half was Prelude to the Afternoon of the Faun and some other Debussy, I think. And in the second half was Chronochronie of Messiaen. And during the interval, my friends, they left. And I asked them, I was so disappointed because I really wanted them to see Messiaen. And they said, well, he just talked too much.
So that's the other side.
Yeah, and I said, but he didn't talk at all in the second half. We just played the piece, and they said, well, if we'd known that, we would have stuck around. Yeah.
So it's not as easy as that.
I think so. I think it perhaps it's a little more to it than that. Yeah.
Maybe
obviously,
somebody's great.
Mm.
Something I was thinking about on a more individual level. I was thinking about how do I get people to come to my concerts, my solo individual concerts, and it's more of friends that I see on a regular basis, my family, And then also, you know, just by making that personal contact and talking to them and saying like, hey, you know, I'm giving this concert, you should come check it out. And it's just, so applying the orchestra and getting audiences to a more individual level. So I feel like doing, you know, going out in the community and doing just like really attainable concerts in dress clothes, and where audiences can like get to know the different characters of the orchestra. And that's definitely something I've been working on, trying to win a job in Europe. It's not just about like being able to play the notes and play the music. It's also about being a strong character and like a personality in the orchestra that people can be like, I want to go see David Bruchez play tonight. Why? And be like, why aren't you guys?
Because of the red shoes.
You like the red shoes.
And be like, why aren't you guys going to see David play tonight? Like, that's not cool that you're not going. So it's like making, it's not like peer pressure, but it's kind of like that, where you got to make it cool, and so people know people. And
I think there's a job for you in marketing.
The world is full of people that never go to classical concerts because they think classical music is something for specialists. And that's why I think it's very important, as it's been said, musicians should talk to the audience and should make it clear to them that music was written for people that have a heart beating, just like...
After all, pop music is for specialists. I don't know anything about it. I mean, people talk about all these groups and this and that and there's something, and I don't have any idea. It would scare me to go because I wouldn't understand it. And I can't afford the $150 either. Classical concerts are much cheaper.
Some of them.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? It is much cheaper. I think it's just because it's the whole now movement, or where people want to go and see their friend. You know, like everybody's on YouTube, on Facebook, like, so they want to go see their friend perform.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
a good point.
That's a good idea. I think
just make it more
personality is good in
attainable.
orchestra. You should all wear red shoes. Or no, different colours.
Yeah, and just making it cool. I don't know how to.
Yeah.
But
down to earth.
Sure. Just following on from points that both of you raised, I mean, that could also be one of the significant problems is the fact that in this modern age, people's attention spans are a lot shorter. And that could be something to do with, why, friends of yours or whoever are, not stimulated enough or whatever when they go to a classical concert. And that, I don't know how one could address that, but that might just be at least some kind of explanation.
Maybe go to the other extreme and say, relax, sure. Yeah. We have these spaces, they're really dark, and you actually lie down or something and you, in a way, meditate. Like, take the thing that is already somehow inherent in a concert situation where you sit for a long time and push it even further into that direction. Yeah. But again, play with the formats a lot and experiment a lot. My question to you, do you get a lot of input in that direction in your studies right now?
Me personally?
No, you all of you.
Well, for me, not. No.
Not at all.
About presentation, you mean?
Presentation and generally this sort of spirit of, you're saying marketing. I think my belief is we're all marketers.
We're all in marketing.
We're all there. Marketing has to do with connecting with the people. And so in a way, unless we want to do art for art and people don't matter, we are all marketers.
It's kind of a hard bridge to cross though, because as a musician and definitely as a student, you spend so much time in a practice room and by yourself. Yeah. And then they tell you go make friends and go get them interested in the same thing that secludes you so much.
Oh, you know about C major, yeah. Yeah, it is really, it's tricky. In colleges, you're nose to the grindstone, aren't you?
Well, you spend so much time alone in a practice room, but you also have to learn the craft of being super extroverted and getting people to stay interested.
And
it's really interesting.
And the skills to go out there into the world after the studies and be like, oh, where are opportunities? Where's a community where I could do something like this or like that? Or it's not just, there's orchestra and then there's teaching. I hear that way too often still. It's like, no, there's opportunities.
getting that 1 foot out.
We're marketers, we're entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
we're a lot of things.
You know, it's that strange phenomenon when you've got friends on Facebook that you don't really know, but then you know them so well because you keep clicking on their profiles, so you feel like when you see them, you know what's been going on in their lives, except you've never met them before, because I know you might have done once at a party. So it's about familiarising, I think familiarising classical music, the sound of it, the tunes, just the whole genre. And if we can get it more out on the internet, it doesn't become such a scary thing. It becomes part of your everyday life. So one of the things that it would be wonderful if everyone clicked on was a classical music video or something every day, you know, on one of their 20 tabs they've got open, or something to do with interaction, to do with, it can be somebody doing an educational workshop and someone talking about music, it could be anything. But wouldn't that be wonderful? And I think we need to I think that's the next journey, is getting it more out there on the web.
Well, YouTube is stuffed with things.
Yeah, and everyone now looks at YouTube, you know, when you're looking for musical inspirations, putting programs together. And I think that's probably one of the ways to go for music conservatoire students. If you want to get yourself out there, you can, you know, put your concerts out there, you can even record your lessons, you can do many creative things because it's all there for you. You don't need to you don't need to spend thousands of pounds, you just need to get a bit creative. Maybe get some collaborative partners together and see whether you can come up with a fun project. Yeah, like Etienne was saying, anything is possible now because of the technology.
But I think there's a crucial thing here. It's got to be cool and down to earth.
Yeah.
And the terminology thing. So I think I would suggest we all start cultivating an indie classical culture.
Okay.
Which is independent of the things that we know and that work and that go on in their own ritualized way. But I think it's a great moment. There's a crisis, yes, but there's also so many opportunities, and there's so many things happening in the world. I mean, the night shift is one thing. What Detroit is doing is something. There's what Mason Bates is doing in San Francisco with a lounge format. There's a lot of stuff happening which we should know about, and which we can cultivate and experiment with and push it forward.
For me, I decided to do music when I went listen a rehearsal. The first time I saw a rehearsal of an opera. So I was there, I was 15, and I said, that's where I want to be. And a lot of people, I think, because that's great, the rehearsals. It's not only the concert, it's not only the performing. And nowadays, that's also people are interested to know what you do. So when I meet somebody, say, I play music. Which, classical? Yeah.
Or real music.
Yeah, anyway. But they want to know what it's about. So what is your daily life?
Yeah.
And not with the whole story, what you do for a day job. That changed, that's finished. I mean, here, if I do a musician, I don't look like, I'm a poor. No, that's okay. But they are interested in seeing what you do the whole day. And also rehearsals are a lot of time much more interesting than concerts. I mean, because that's different. But a lot of stuff, I mean, all those ideas, I totally agree with the fact that a lot of institutions want to stay very specific for those very directly that's not available for everybody. That's exclusive. A cast. That's like you have to find the right to get exclusive. And
that's what they say.
And I think, and at the same time, those big houses, I mean, they try to work on marketing, but then it will never work. Because we need to change.
But that's where political pressure should come in. If there's subsidies, there has to be political pressure there saying we want this and that and that. And I think there's some no excuses, and I think some of that is happening in England, and I like it. I think there could be more of that here. It's not going to be very comfortable, but I think it'll push things into the right way. I think exclusivity is a big one. It has this really positive connotation. For me, it sounds scary. No.
Yes.
Inclusive.
Inclusive.
Not exclusive.
I was thinking it's also just important to remember to keep things on an individual level, and it starts with the individual, and then it starts with the individual orchestra, and then it grows from there. Something that I noticed, a really competitive training orchestra in the States, the New World Symphony, and on their website, it's kind of set up like Facebook, but each individual orchestral musician has like a close-up of their face. And so all of my friends from the Cleveland Institute were applying for it, and the ones that were accepted, I can go on and click on their picture and read about them. So I'm just trying to just keeping things simple, and I think it can grow from there, building audiences.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
But the big question, with this, what we spoke before, about that's the attention of people.
Yeah.
Is getting shorter. Sure. That means that very soon we cannot play a long piece anymore. That's the other point. That's not about people getting in the hall. That's not the point, but just the fact that people cannot concentrate more than 3.5 minutes. And also YouTube, myself, I finish sometimes at 4 in the morning and I don't remember what I looked. And we can say that's the same with the TV, but with YouTube you have so
David,
much.
don't you think that this is our epoch, because everything is fast? Fast food, fast music.
That's fast.
The tracks and CDs and pop music also are 3 minutes, 4 minutes. No?
People go to films for 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
If the story is compelling enough.
The story is compelling.
But
They're
the
cutting, of
3-hour
course, all
films
the
are
time.
also really stimulating. It's
Yeah,
a
but
lot to
look
look at. And the classical music, it's great once you learn, and once you learn what everything is, then it can be quite stimulating. You can say, oh, this is a cadence, this is a trick cadence or something like this.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that, it's just all kind of like a Polak painting.
When you say people goes to 3 hours movie, but which movie? They are done also for an attention of 30 seconds, and then it comes the new stuff. And
Yes,
pop,
yes,
pop.
yes.
So
That's the cutting.
that's not really 3 hours.
But if you look at the programs,
And normally they are 90 minutes.
if you look at the programs of older concerts, maybe 100 years ago, something like that, yes, but they used to play only single movements.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. So maybe there was a problem with the attention also.
Maybe.
Well, they certainly were much more mixed, weren't they?
Yeah.
There was always a singer, for instance, It was more like a music hall in a way. They'd have a symphony, and then there'd be a singer, and then there'd be a harp concerto. Then there'd be an interval, then there'd be a cello concerto, and then singers would come on again. And there'd be a symphony at the end. They were very long, actually, but they were very broken up. And they're rather nice, those concerts. I've done a few, I've recreated some of those there. It's really fun to hear different, instead of the orchestra all the time, you suddenly hear one singer on a piano. Charming. Good fun. Yeah, we should make concerts much more interesting. Much more varied.
It could be very clear which type of concert. Maybe somebody wants to come to a concert and get something like Wikipedia-like. So I want to learn something.
Yeah.
So that you can explain everything, and people love it. But other concerts should be also like lounge. That you go there, and I don't need to think about. Just relax. That's you just relax. Because a lot of times I see people who would like real modern music, and those too much mixing, because we need the older audience. We need the new one. We need the specialist. That's in a way that's tricking the audience. Just have the courage of do what we like to do. And I'm sure it's people, because if we keep in this contact direct to the audience, they will come. They will come to listen to us.
Do you ever ask any young people, maybe off the street,
what they want to hear?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good one. Absolutely. I don't think it works that way.
No.
No, I think we need to do everything we do very authentically.
Yeah.
Only very authentic. If we have to start explaining tricky
no, but
ground.
Not explaining.
So I agree. I think we have to do what we like to, and we have to do it authentically. But I do think different audience groups react differently, and we need to be aware that if we create a lounge, it's going to be a little bit more for this group. We have to be aware that it might be a reason for for someone who's 18 or 20 not to come to concerts because they don't want to be seen with their parents. And then what do? You need to market differently, like the Yellow Lounge does in Berlin. They don't put ads in the newspaper. Once they did it, at 9 o'clock, everybody over 70 was there saying, "Where's my chair?" And that's great, but of course that wasn't the Yellow Lounge experience that they were after, and they stopped doing that. They market in their own ways, and then these people come for this particular experience. And I think, why not have a subscription series doing this, and then 4 concerts a season in that way, another 3 concerts in this way, and just be really innovative about it.
Do you think, perhaps just following on from what you were saying, that yes, it's true that many of concert subscribers all over the world are senior citizens, and usually, from stage you look out onto a sea of white hair. But do you think there is some kind of inherent problem in that? Of course, we should try as hard as possible to make classical music as widely accessible as possible, to have such a wide variety of audiences. But perhaps it is also the nature of classical music that it's perhaps more suited to the temperament of an older person who, when one is young and you have lots of energy and you want stimulus and this kind of thing, and as you get older, perhaps, you start to appreciate the finer things in life, and maybe that,
There was a white-haired audience in 1850. You might well be right. I mean, they were young once.
Yeah.
We were young once.
And we might just have to accept at a certain point that, classical music, if we can still call it that, it's
the golden oldies.
Well, yeah, in a way.
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
It's a bit of a waste on them.
A bit of a what?
It's a bit of a waste. It's like
I think we could go on forever.
We could go on forever, but I've just
But the
given
same
the signal that we have to take this discussion for another time.
Yes.
But
we
you know,
will.
100 years ago,
But
they
thank
were
you
also
very
complaining
much.
that it was only older people in the audience.
Well, there
Sorry.
you go.
Sorry.
I don't think there's anything wrong about that.
No, I don't think so either. I really don't.
We're talking about it as if the older people are not people anymore.
No, it's great. It's just, we know there are studies which show that the fact that the audience is that the lifestyle cues for a younger generation are just not there. There needs to be, for them to feel comfortable, a critical mass of young people.
I don't think they get the information, because when I worked previously for 9 months in this finance company, my colleagues wanted to go to a classical concert, but they didn't know which program to go to because there were so many, and they didn't really know where to get the information from, and they were quite young. They were my age. I like to think of myself as young, but yeah, I think it's an information problem, because it's all on the orchestra websites, but how are they going to know about the orchestra name? So maybe it's just the assimilation of information needs to be sort of a bit more diverse.
It's all those things.
As well, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for the rehearsal.
Playtime.
Dorothy?